We're going to jump right into our first of the top 10 tips here, and it's don't panic. So I know this sounds like I'm being sort of jokey, but in fact, this is probably the most important thing that we'll talk about for the whole podcast here. I've had many students regarding the ARE coming into live classes, doing stuff like this and talking over digitally and emailing back and forth. And the biggest problem that people run into is not that the exam is hard or anything like that. Obviously, it's hard for everybody. It takes a long time, and you have to find a lot of resources, and you got to get your money together to pay for the exams and all of that. So there's all kinds of things to be sort of annoyed by with this exam. But if you start to panic, it becomes that much harder. Quick example, many years ago, I had a student in one of my live classes that had, this was back in 3.1, and the exam was called pre-design. And he had taken pre-design 9 times and failed it. And he was a really smart guy, really nice guy, really smart guy. And we did the lectures, we talked through all the different possibilities, all the different things that were going on. We talked about all the topic areas, and then we did some mock exams. And when we did the mock exam, I watched him do the mock exam, and you could see his pencil hovering over the correct answer, and then he would go to a different answer. And I finally talked to him about, like, what are you doing? And he said, they're trying to trick me. They're trying to, he had just become this sort of crazy man in normal everyday life, he was completely nice, normal guy, but in the exam, he was panicking. And so he was making problems for himself. He was worrying too much about things to the point that it was actually ruining his ability to pass the exam. So, like I said, there's it's not a million, it's 100,000, let's say, possible questions you might get. If you get a bunch of ones you don't happen to know the answer to, well, you might fail that one. Okay, if you fail it, we're going to move on. You're going to take it again. You're not going to worry about it, because who cares? I mean, it costs a little bit of money. It may be a problem here or there for one reason or another, some time and things like that. But it's not a big deal, right? Don't panic. It's going to be fine. You're going to get through it. So that's the number one thing. Just reduce the anxiety level. Let's move on to number 2.
Yeah, maybe actually. So one thing we've been studying here at Black Spectacles is test anxiety.
Yeah.
It's actually a thing. People do get freaked out. And they get really anxious about this. And like there are like strategies and tactics that you can take to basically chill yourself out a little bit,
right,
and take it easy. I mean, and go in, frankly, like with a mindset about being confident and that you're going to pass this thing, and you're going to run into some questions you don't know, but who cares? Those are dumb questions. Yeah. It's almost about attitude.
Absolutely. I'll give you another sort of stupid but actually meaningful, weirdly, example. And that's if you haven't been to the testing center before you go take the exam, sometime the week before, if you're driving to it for the exam, drive there, know where you're going to park, don't fret about the cost of the parking or whatever it is, just like pay for the parking, make it easy. Know where you're going to go, know what you're going to do. Like, am I going to wear my coat, or are they going to allow me to take the coat in? Like, know what the rules are. Mm-hmm. Don't bring your phone with you or anything like that. Like, leave it in the car, locked up in the car, because like you don't want to go through a crazy moment where they're going to like take your phone from you and you're going to start panicking again. Like, just know what you're getting into, and then when you go do the real thing, all right, all of that anxiety. Does it take 40 minutes to get there? Does it take 20 minutes to get there? Like, you've already figured all that out, right? And you can do that about everything, right? Yeah. Just remove all of that anxiety to the extent you can.
It's funny, like almost the opposite way to say this is to kind of pump yourself up. And like, it's interesting. I realized that's something that I would do when I would go to these and take these tests. is sort of pump myself up, like I'm gonna smoke this test. I'm gonna wear my lucky socks.
Right.
I'm gonna wear my lucky shirt, and I'm gonna show up 20 minutes early, and I'm gonna be on time, and this is gonna be awesome, and I'm gonna have my favorite thing for breakfast, and like just like all this sort of psyching yourself up that you're gonna do great, so that you don't let this anxiety thing kind of go away.
Yeah. So 2 quick things to say about that. One, I'm a little disturbed that we both have lucky socks.
Wait a minute, they're not the same ones.
I hope they're not the same ones. But the other thing to say, and I've had this conversation about 1,000,000 times, taking this exam is annoying and crazy and takes a long time and costs money and all of that, but I guarantee you it'll make you a better architect. And if you just focus on that part, like, oh, this is cool, I'm gonna learn about contracts, or I'm gonna learn about how site planning and orientation, how that impacts room design on the inside, that if you just sort of see it as, hey, this is cool, it'll make a huge difference. Yeah. And then, you pass, you don't pass, it doesn't really matter. You'll pass eventually. So it's all going to work. And by far, most of you are going to pass on the first shot on all of these things.